full disclosure, I went and saw, The Mean One, Christmas Eve. My wife and I went and saw it, and I immediately, I loved your role. I loved the character. The film itself was fun, and I think a lot of times, with, everyone wants to kind of see something familiar, but then at the same time, horror fans especially want something new, like Terrifier 2 obviously is taking off, and kind of riding the coattails of that, we have the Mean One, and we have Krystle Martin with us here today. Is that how you say your name correct, right?
Yes.
Excellent. So I saw this on Christmas Eve, and I posted a picture of myself at the theater. It was maybe a 30-minute drive for me. I live just north of Houston. So immediately I posted this photo, and I guess people were not aware that it was even showing in theaters here. But at the same time, the people that were aware were like, there's people that were reaching out to me from San Antonio, Dallas, all over Texas that wanted to see this film. And I guess, which kind of leads me to my first question, was the deal between Atlas and Regal, was that communicated to the cast at all? What was your reaction of, hearing The Mean One was going to be hit in theaters?
Oh, I think this went far beyond what anyone thought would happen with it. We were just kind of making a fun little film. And of course, you hope that it'll turn into something. But I think we were all kind of thinking about streaming. And then when we found out it was going to theaters, it was a dream come true. Like, oh, we were all pinching ourselves. So that was super exciting. For a lot of us, it was our first time seeing ourselves up on the big screen.
And that's awesome. Yeah, I saw that now with the success of this, like, I think we already have pre-orders available for the Winnie the Pooh film, who is kind of under the same banner of films. But I want to discuss you a little bit before we circle back, to The Mean One. I had a fantastic time in the theater, but I had to investigate, who is this person? So first off, Merry Christmas. How was your holiday? How was your Christmas?
It was wonderful. I'm visiting my brother in Washington and my mom and my sister up here too. So it was really nice to spend time with family. My boyfriend got to come with me, and I just feel really grateful that we're all here together.
Awesome, awesome. And like I said, I want to talk about The Mean One, but you have so many projects, kind of that you've been through a part of throughout the years. And outside of this, I also run an MMA podcast. So
All right.
the similarities between you and Ronda Rousey were very apparent, especially in the Get Strong montage scene. And then, immediately as soon as I started investigating, who is this girl, you doubled for her on 911.
I
What
did, yeah.
can you
I
can you
had
tell me a little bit about that experience? And do maybe even before that experience, did you ever get told maybe that you look a little bit like her?
for like 10 years before I ever met her, I had been told, I mean, before people even knew who she was just like, "Oh, you look like that MMA lady." So it was kind of really felt fortunate and coming full circle that I ended up doubling for her. And it just worked out. I did like 6 episodes of 911, and there was a time, well, multiple times, that we were confused on set. Like, people thought that they had Rhonda, or they thought that she was me, and it was hilarious. Really good times.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw the side by side, and just physically seeing it on screen. Like, my wife leaned over and she's like, "Damn, she looks a lot like Ronda Rousey right there." It was like when you were punching. It was really cool. And
Well, that's
oddly
a huge
enough,
compliment. Thank you.
yeah, definitely, it's extreme compliment. Speaking of which, you have worked on a few other Ryan Murphy sets. You got American Horror Stories under your belt. You got 911 Lone Star. And those are just to name a few. What was it like working on those sets? And maybe is it a little bit different working, under the Ryan Murphy banner?
It's awesome that there's already a following for that. So it's really cool to just get to join something it's already on its way. Like, I would go to the American Horror Story set, and there would be fans like camped out. They would just happen to be going by, and then I guess somebody rang the dinner bell and was like, they're here, and it would line up all of the American Horror Story fans. So that was really cool. That was something that I hadn't thought of beforehand, and then I showed up on set and they're all like looking at us trying to figure out who's who, and I'm like, I'm nobody, I'm just a stunt performer, you're not looking for me. But it was really cool to get to be a part of that. And the stunt coordinator is Simon Rhee on that, and he's awesome. I've worked on 3 episodes of American Horror Stories, and it changes every time. It's a new story.
Yeah.
So 3 different leads and different stories.
Yeah, I noticed you kind of like you have multiple characters or people that you double. Is that a little overwhelming from show to show, different people working with a different cast? Because I'm assuming you have the same crew in most cases.
With stunts, that's just kind of how it works for us. We'll come in for a day playing role, just coming in and doubling whoever is there. And so we don't really get a lot of like prep time or anything. So it's really important when we show up on set to watch the camera when our actor is performing and try to figure out how they're moving, how they're playing the character, because you want to create a continuation of that when you step in to double them. So it doesn't look like, oh, that's a different person like in that role. You really want to carry on what they were already doing with it, and then just make them look cool when they do stunts.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been on a few sets, and ultimately it always seems like that's a huge task, not only for the stunt doubles, but the coordinator. It's this huge, I mean, obviously production, but it's interesting to see all the moving pieces. So between all of that, you also worked on one of the sleeper horror films of 2021, Malignant. Audiences were mixed, but I enjoyed it. I always look for that breath of fresh air. So I was kind of curious, from someone that's on the inside, as far as that film, what was your experience like on that one?
This is one of those funny experiences where I was on that set for a week and I'm not in the final cut of the film.
Oh, wow.
But it was awesome. It's one of those points where you're like crying all the way to the bank because you're like, well, I was hoping for new footage for my reel, but I'll take the week paycheck. Like,
Yeah.
I got to be there when a lot of my friends were working, so that was really cool. It was a big fight scene in the prison. And yeah, I just got to be there while everyone else was kind of hanging out, and then they were working sometimes and I was supposed to pop in, but it just never ended up happening. So that's one of those easy paychecks that you appreciate. And I'm glad the movie did well and all my friends got their moment in the sun.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that kind of leads me to, I mean, full circle back to the Mean One, but are you a fan of horror films? Like, did you go and see Malignant? Like, or even
Nope.
I love it.
Such a baby. I have a hugely active imagination, and I am terrified. My boyfriend tries to push me into trying more horror movies. I think my most recent one he got me to watch was It. And
The remake or the new one?
The newer one.
Okay, cool.
Right, with Skarsgård.
Yeah. Skarsgård's scary no matter what he's in.
And he did such an amazing job, of course. So like as an actor, I super appreciate watching his facial expressions and how well he plays the character. And I try in my head to separate that from it. But then I just get sucked in because I'm a movie lover. Like
Yeah.
there's a reason that I got into this industry, and it's just because I love getting sucked in. But man, in horror movies, they get me so good, like, because I'll get sucked in along with the ride with all the people, and then you miss that like telltale music that's drawing you in, and then the jump scares get me and I scream in the theater and everyone laughs at me.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's kind of why, horror is kind of having this weird resurgence, because people are, growing up and, showing their kids these films, and then at the same time, all of these creators grew up, either in the 80s or 90s. So they're like, what can I capitalize on from my childhood? What scared me? And, and that's the perfect transition to the Mean One. I believe I know the answer, but, I want to know, how, in your words, how did you get involved with this project? And then what were your first impressions of the script and even the idea of attempting something like this?
Well, I had gotten a call from the director around this time last year to work on a short trailer for this crazy idea he had. And that was fun. And so we all just got together, shot it in like 4 days, and he had it edited within the week in time for Christmas, and everybody loved it and wanted more. And then we weren't planning on more at all, but then I guess they were working behind the scenes and they came up with a script. And then by the time that they called me back and were like, we think we want to make a feature, we're going to send you a script, they're working on it, should be done in like a week, and we'll let you read it. And then as soon as I read it, I was like, oh yeah, this is happening, I want this. So that was really cool. I had worked with the director before on a Powerpuff Girls short film. So yeah, I jumped at the chance to work with the team again, and I loved Flip and Finn's script. Just kind of getting to play that badass story arc is what I love to do.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And you mentioned like being on set. You said how long was the second time y'all went and like shot
for the feature?
Yeah, for the feature.
I was there for 15 days.
15 days?
And I think they only did a couple days maybe without me. It was really fast. Yeah, It was a super kind of long days. We were still shooting within like SAG rules. But yeah, every day was until down to the wire.
That's awesome. Yeah, is there anything that you recall shooting that maybe didn't make the final cut? Like maybe it teetered too far away from the parody, like the legal line, if you will?
We would kind of film things both ways because we didn't know what we would be allowed to say. So we would do different versions, saying different things. And that way they would have it if they wanted to use it later. But then everything making it. I think they were still exploring all the rules, and they wanted to make sure that we were under the parody law and did honor to the source material without, going, we don't want to step on their toes. We just want to expand upon it.
Sure. Yeah, and that was one of my favorite things because I didn't know how far the envelope would get pushed. And I'm not going to spoil it, but like there was moments where I was like, damn, y'all are really going there. So that was fun to experience. There were
some really clever moments that they worked ways around that, and I appreciated it. The scene you're probably thinking of was one of my favorites to shoot. Rachel Winfrey has a cameo, and she was actually in another movie starring a green grump in a Santa suit. So that was kind of a fourth wall wink that she's in ours as well.
Very clever. And I think most people will want to know, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull the band-aid off. What was it like working with him, David Howard Thornton, and his portrayal of the green one, or the mean one? What did you think of all that?
David is amazing. He's an incredibly gifted performer with both his facial gestures and his body gestures, and just he knows how to use his instrument. And I was really impressed with how well he could emote through all of the makeup and the costume and everything. Like, he can still really affect you as a performer working with him. So I thought that was really impressive.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought that as well. There was definitely winks and nods to Jim Carrey. Like it was a nice meld of all of the mean ones. And you mentioned being on set or filming for 14 days. There was a lot of CG, and there were moments where it did look cold, and there was occasional snow in like backgrounds and things like that. So was it actually cold, or what was CG? Because I know a lot of the blood was CG, but what about the snow?
I'm glad you're asking, because that means we did a good job, because with how quickly we shot this, we didn't have the luxury of going somewhere cold or shooting in cold months. So we were shooting in LA in like spring into summer. So like the hiking scene, for instance, the hiking pants that we got from my wardrobe happened to be fleece lined because we wanted them to like look warm, and they were warm. And that was a very hot day for me. So if you were wondering at all, I'm glad that we did a good job acting it as cold, because it was not.
Yeah, there was definitely times where I was like, it looked like, is this a pickup shot at a different time, where it like it was hard to decipher. I mean, not to mention the story is bonkers itself, so you're just like, it's hard to even focus on the background in a lot of cases. But yeah, it was a fun ride, from start to finish. I guess to kind of wrap up on the Mean One, is there anything on the horizon as far as working with Steven again anytime soon? Have you guys talked about, like, a Powerpuff Girls parody or something like that?
I can only hope. He's good about playing it close to the vest and kind of keeping things on the down low until he knows for sure. He just doesn't want to get anyone excited ahead of time. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting a call at some point because I really like working with Steven and Amy and the whole crew. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. And for those that are discovering you, for this project in particular, what should they watch next to kind of catch up on your career? Like, or maybe you have something coming up soon that you want everyone to take note of.
There's so much stuff going on right now that I can't talk about yet. So
Okay.
I would say just follow me on social media and I'll certainly be posting when I can. I'm Krystle in La La Land on Instagram, but my name is spelled crazy. It's Krystle. And yeah, you can check out that for more info later. I did work on a feature film, another indie, as a stunt coordinator. My boyfriend and I co-coordinated. It was our first feature to coordinate on that scale. So that was really awesome. And they did an amazing job. The two lead actors were like super into doing their own stunts. So we got to work with them and make sure they don't injure themselves, but they were always game. And I'm really excited to see how that turns out. So that should be hitting festivals either late 2023 or maybe 2024. But that'll be really good. It's called The Misadventures of Vincent Hick.
Awesome. Yeah. The Mean One is still in theaters now. Be sure to check out themeanonemovie.com to be sure to see Krystle Martin on the big screen. It's still showing in your area. Again, Krystle, I appreciate your time here at CineDump. We let the doers know how they're doing, and you are doing just fine. So thank you again. Everyone go check out The Mean One and let me know what you think, and we can have a conversation about it. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.